welcome to Convo Fango. Today we are joined by writer, director of SALOUM, Jean Luc Herbulot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
me.
that's you.
Ah.
Raise your hand. That's me right here.
I
Present
swear.
here.
I'm just gonna say the truth. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to chat with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I got to watch this, and I just want to tell you right off the bat, I loved it, and it is not
Thank
quite what
you.
I was expecting.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That was the goal. Thank you.
I had a feeling that's what you were going for. So
Yeah.
without giving anything away, can you tell us what it's about?
It's about free mercenaries, free African mercenaries, which is something already rare. Free mercenaries that are shit, I'm losing my English already. Who are
Oh,
taking
no.
up a Mexican drug lord from Guinea-Bissau, which is a country in West Africa, a narco country. They're supposed to move this guy from Guinea-Bissau to Dakar in Senegal, which is like probably 30 miles from this country, so not far away. But then their plane had problems, and they're supposed to go down in the region of Saloum, which is a mystical region in the Senegal, which is very known for his black magic and spirits and weird stuff that happening there. And of course, you can guess what's going to happen to them. A lot of problems that I won't talk here. But they are going in a camp to spend some, let's say, vacation because they're hiding from the police, and then some weird shit happens.
And then some weird shit happens. Your English is perfect, and then weird shit
Right?
happens. Nailed it.
The speech. That's the first time that I'm doing that.
Yeah. No, it was great. Perfect. So yeah, there's a reason we're covering this for Fangoria, is all that I will
Right.
say about that. You know?
Should we talk about the monsters? uh,
I don't want to spoil anything. If you would like to talk
yeah.
about
Is
monsters,
there any
yeah.
monsters in this movie anyway? No. Well, I won't talk too much about the third act, but I can tell the people that yeah, we have some horrific stuff in this movie, but at the same time, the subject of the movie was not only about that; it was really about the study of a hero. Because I felt like in the world that we live in, especially right now, with all the superheroes and heroes and super strength and super women and super men and blah blah blah, it was interesting to go back to the flaws as what makes us human. And the interesting thing was, well, I grew up in Africa. I'm gonna go back to the basis. I grew up in Africa, in Congo. I grew up with basically mostly American heroes, Asian heroes from Hong Kong, all those kung fu movies that I grew up with. But once I grew up and I start to be in my 30s and being more skilled in my craft, I turn my back and I just see no heroes, no African heroes, no real ones at least. So I said to myself, now it's the time to build something. And good thing for me was there is not that much heroes that have been built in Africa, or at least shown to the big audience. So
Right.
our fight with Pamela Diop, my partner in Lakme Studio, which is our production company, was okay. We want to create African movies that inspires, that are fun, that we can have fun watching, and because we hate the current status of African movies now, which is always talking about, oh, he's sick, he's gonna die, he has been this and that, and Africa is the worst place in the world to be in, blah 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 blah. That's bullshit. And we wanted to stop that BS. So since we grew up there, so we know it more than
Right.
anybody. And I said to myself, now it's the time, and now it's the time to exploit all the myths and dark stories and characters and stuff that I grew up hearing, and coming from Central Africa, black magic is something that is very present. So I grew up with that. So for me, it was all about, show that to the world and bring it as something new in the game of the genre movies or the monster movies or the myth movies or heroes movies, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was just so intrigued by it because, like you said, I've never seen anything like this. Like this was all new to me. I've never seen Africa shown in this way. And then the first act is very fun as far as like the
Yeah,
style. It's
it's made.
very stylized and action, and the way that it's done, it's very, very fun and punchy. And then, as we're moving on, it gets a little more sinister, but
uh,
also in a very fun, heroic, cool kind of way. And you really grow to love these very flawed characters. Like they're very, very cool individually, just these separate guys, and they each have these different personalities and different strengths that we get to know. Like,
yeah. Well, they were as I was talking about heroes, I said to myself, okay, it's easy to talk, it's easy to build a hero, to be honest. We have all the codes today. I won't say that Star Wars started it, but uh, the hero path from Campbell, the book from Campbell about how you build a hero became something so classic today. Everybody knows it, everybody uses it. So it was not that interesting for me to take back that thing and say we're gonna build a hero from an African hero from that. It was too easy, or for me it was too easy. So I said to myself, okay, let's build heroes, but then what do we do with them? And then I just said to myself, in the world that we live in today, which is about people revolting or want to have revenge about being exploited or raped, or you know what I'm talking about when I about the Me Too movement and all those things that are finally getting out there. I said to myself, well, that could be interesting to play with that, but to play with that with a male character, because most of the time when you take a rape and revenge, and then when I say rape, I'm a bit saying the secret of the movie, but uh, rape and revenge are usually made with women. So I just said to
mm,
myself, okay, let's go to a man now, and I think it's the time also to all the 80s and all the 90s were the 80s were about showing the big muscles, in movies like the big Predator, and I love Predator for that because the ending of Predator is just perfect for what it is. And then in the 90s, we have Brad Pitt crying because his girlfriend has her head cut it, right? So that was the
what's in the
dark,
box?
yeah,
Yeah.
what's the box? So that was the dark face of guys, like those men also have a dark side. But then I think we forgot the weakness, like the real weakness. And I said to myself, this is the time now that we have all those strong women coming out and talking. Where are the men talking about their flaws?
Hmm.
Because we have always been talking about our strength, but now it's the time to talk about something else. So that's when Shaka slowly started to become very interesting for me, because
Hmm.
it's easy again to make cool guys, charismatic, blah blah blah, great music, and blah blah, which is the first act, and which is a trap, because I
Yeah.
wanted people to go into that and say, "Whoa, yeah, I'm gonna go into something cool, blah blah blah," and then slowly by slowly, oh, this guy is afraid of water. What the fuck is that? And then he's lying. What the fuck is he doing? Blah blah blah. Something is coming, and then you understand. Oh my god, it's gonna go into a very different direction that I didn't see. But in the same
Hmm.
time, then the trap was go into something darker and more human, but in the same time trying to keep it stylish and
Right.
fun.
Hmm.
It's not because it has to be dark that it cannot be fun sometimes. So it was a challenge, and I wanted the audience to go through that crazy ride, but finish the movie and say, at the end, we were just human. And when something is destroying you, you always have the choice to otherwise destroy yourself by
Hmm.
fighting this thing or not finding it in the right way, or let it go and maybe you're going to survive, but maybe not. So
Right.
it became a character study more than a movie about a character, if it makes sense.
Right. Well, it wouldn't. There's no way that this could be. I wouldn't. I personally would not have loved it as much if it wasn't a character study. If it's just
Yeah.
what I thought it was when the trap was being laid, like that's just not. Those are fun, but it's not really my forte. It's not really what
Yeah.
speaks to me. So like you say it as like his weaknesses, but really to me that's just it was showing Shaka's humanity, and that's what made me
Exactly.
love him so much. So I become very invested in this character. So whatever happens to him after that, it affected me.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be sad, so I hope it will be sad for people
Yeah.
because you can feel like this guy is an asshole at the beginning, but he's definitely not. And he's just a victim, So, and since this century is also about recognizing victims, I felt it was interesting to dig into that somewhere.
It's very much not pretty much nothing is as it seems essentially
Thank you.
in this.
Thank you. Thank
How
you.
much of this was based on existing like lore and mythology? Like
Uh,
primarily?
I would say 100% it exists.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The Ghana Sirabana, well, 100%. No, I'm a bit pretentious.
Okay.
The Ghana Sirabana legend,
Hmm.
that cursed king that they're talking about, he existed. You can find that on Google. Like it's a real thing. It's a real story. It's a real curse. But after that, is the curse is real? Is it really happening? I can't tell. I didn't. I didn't see it. So that's why I'm here to talk about it, I think. But after that, we chose to play with that legend, and after that, going on our side because you don't want to disrespect the people of the SALOUM because they have such a big ancestral story because it used to be a
Hmm.
kingdom and a very long one. So it was very complicated to use everything and to make it sound real. So we decided to start from it as a basis, and after that, bringing in our own stuff. I won't spoil anything about what's happening in this universe, but we tried to be as unique as we could uh, into that. So not being too westerny in the kind of references that we were having, which was none. We tried to escape all the kind of references that we were having in our head, which is more difficult than having references, I can tell you.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, and the guys at the special effects company, which is called Light FX, they just did a great job. We were doing a lot of R&D on what we can bring on the screen, and we had a very very short amount of time to finish the movie because of the selection in festivals. So it gives us a very short amount of time to bring the stuff, but in the same time it gave us the inspiration to see what you saw in the movie. So I hope it's working, but we try to do something very different from reality, and at the same time it's based on reality. uh,
Hmm.
the curse, not the other
The curse.
stuff.
Yes, yes. Well, I feel like anything like that, there's a balance to that. When you're taking something that's like a cultural, it's not just a story. There's a whole group of people that this is very important to, and it's like kind of
Yeah.
like sacred lore type of thing. So you have to be careful when you're working with that to do it in a way that's respectful, and then maybe just tweak it enough to where it's a little bit based on, stories that you've heard, stories that are very important to people culturally, and then throw a little bit of fiction in there, but balance that in a way that's very respectful. So,
Yeah, and it was again, it was playing still, even if it's an African movie, you always play with your colleagues X films, right? Like
mm,
if I want to do a genre movie with horror things, I have to think about Carpenter. I have to think about all these people, even if I don't want to get inspired by them. I have to play in their court because they broke some stuff.
right.
So the question for me was, okay, you have a quiet place. It's about not making a noise. You have Bird Box. It's about not seeing them. We have this. It's about this. So what can we
Yeah.
bring new? Not hearing them. Good. Check. you know. So it's just working with my other colleagues playground and trying to do my own stuff.
Hmm.
That's it. And so that's how those things came uh, in our movie later on.
Sort of set the field for you to go and then play on and build your own thing.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
feeling of when you arrive at school and you have this group of kids that are playing with something, and you don't have that thing. So you're like, okay, I'm going to bring my own thing. So that's the thing. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not coming from a rich family, but I'm going to show them something to be in their group. So that's the feeling.
I feel like just that one sentence just gives us so much insight into who you are
That's
as
a
a
good one, right?
person.
Yeah, I'm
That's
gonna keep this
great. Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Use that. Use that. Hold on to
Yeah.
that one. That was great. I have a question about the powder. What is that?
It's cocaine powder. That's what it does when you put it to people. No, it's no. I just wanted all those characters to have their own type of weapons, and I always felt
Okay.
like minuit in French, so midnight in English. Midnight should have something that is as subtle as brutal when you because when you see him, that's exactly the feeling that I think he provide. Like you can see him
Hmm.
and you're like, ah, he looks calm, but in the same way, I don't want to I don't want to have trouble
Yes.
with that person. So his weapon needed to be something subtle like that. And in the same way, since he's working a lot with potions and magic and artifacts and stuff like that, I say, oh, a powder should be interesting. How you can knock out people with not
Yeah.
touching them, So like a ninja power. So I
Yes.
love a samurai slash ninja midnight weapon.
That I always think that like that's such a cool weapon because it's terrifying. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like no one like I could take you out like that. You're
yeah.
probably at least twice my size, but if that's my weapon, done. Forget
You
it.
want one, right?
I do. I'm sorry.
No,
That's why I
but
was like, where does this and where can I get it? I'm start carrying it around
but
in a
it was
pouch.
inspired from that Brazilian because I saw a documentary. I think it was in Brazil or yeah, a South American country where they were talking about that powder that some people blow on your face and you become a zombie. Like you do
Yeah.
whatever they ask you. And I was like, that's great. And my version was just okay, it knocks you out, and
Yeah.
then you can do whatever you want with you. So that was it. And I needed something to count that effing Mexican without him saying too much. So it became a game on that. And I love Mexican people. Don't say that I did some that I said something bad. But they wanted to do something to this character without killing him. So I was searching for something, and that came, that powder.
Yeah, it works well for multiple plot points in the story and
Yeah,
sets some things
and
up for
it's
us.
not expensive. When you don't have a lot of money in a movie, you have to think straight. So very, very inexpensive. Just a bit of
I'm just
cocaine.
gonna I'm gonna start carrying it around. Not cocaine. Maybe I'll use baby
Not
powder or
cocaine.
something.
Okay.
But I'll just start carrying it around, even though it doesn't actually work, and just blowing it at people. Like I think that'll just catch them enough off guard to where they're gonna be like, "This girl's weird. I'm just gonna back away."
I'm gonna send you some.
Oh, perfect. We'll see if it makes it through customs.
You don't know it yet. It's an unknown substance.
Well, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Well, I've been a big fan of Fangoria, so I'm just so happy to talk to you guys and to present this movie. So I will just say I hope the people will be curious to go discover this movie because I think it's the first of I can be pretentious, but I really think so. It's the first of a new wave that is coming.
Hmm.
And if you don't want to be the last idiot that will talk about Korean movies 20 years before they happen, after they happen, that's going to be the same thing with African movies. And I think this is one of the first one in this genre. I hope it's going to inspire my fellow African filmmakers to go into a different kind of movies for our African cinema. And I hope it's finally people are going to see African movies as something different than what they saw before. I really hope, and I hope people that they will have the 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 patience to go see that and to see what we can do there, and discover something else.
Hmm.
And that's it.
I love that very much. Well, you've got me on board. I'm an African cinema
Thank you.
fan now, so I'm very excited to see what else you
Thank
do in
you.
the future. But
Thank you
make sure
very
you
much.
guys go check out SALOUM. I promise you, it's there's a reason we're covering it here, and it's a good time.
Thank you
All
very
right, thank you
much.
so much, Jean Luc. All
Thank you. You're welcome.
right, thank you. Bye.